Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Your life isn't stuck because you're unlucky or because life is unfair. It's stuck because you've been repeating the same thoughts, the same habits, and calling it a new life. You say you want change, but you keep doing what's comfortable. You dream of transformation, but you refuse to let go of the identity that's keeping you trapped. The truth is, your life won't change when things get easier. It will change the moment you decide you're done living the same story. So the question is, how much longer are you willing to stay the same? And most people think their life isn't changing because they haven't found the right opportunity yet. They say, once I get that promotion, once I meet the right person, once I have more time, more money, more support, then everything will change. But that's a lie. The real reason your life isn't changing isn't because you lack resources. It's because you've been living by the same emotional blueprint that keeps creating the same results. You've been using the same mindset, the same patterns, the same excuses, and expecting a different outcome. Change doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts when you decide to raise your standards and refuse to live another day at the same level. And you've conditioned yourself to survive, not to grow. Somewhere along the line, you accepted that comfort was more important than progress. You started believing that good enough was acceptable, and now your mind has built a prison around what's familiar. That's why you wake up feeling stuck, even when everything around you looks fine on paper. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more, but your brain is addicted to safety. It's built to keep you where you are, even if where you are is killing your spirit. And every thought you've repeated has become a command to your nervous system. You've told yourself, I can't change right now. It's not the right time. I'm not ready. And your brain listens. It reinforces that belief until it becomes who you are. That's why change feels impossible, because your identity hasn't shifted. You can't create a new life with the same self-image that built the old one. If you want to transform your world, you have to break the pattern that's been running you. And it's not your circumstances that are holding you back. It's your standards. Think about it. We all have a set of expectations for ourselves, a thermostat for what we'll tolerate. You can say you want success. You can dream about it, visualize it, journal about it. But if your standards are still at the level of mediocrity, you'll sabotage every opportunity that could elevate you. You'll keep finding reasons why it's not the right moment to take action because you're still trying to protect an identity that's based on fear. And the truth is, your life changes the moment you make a decision, not when conditions improve. A real decision isn't saying, I'll try. It's cutting off every other possibility. It's when you say, I'm done living this way. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how hard it gets. I will change. That kind of decision rewires you at a cellular level. You stop waiting for motivation because you're driven by purpose. You stop asking, how long will it take, and start asking, how far can I go? But let's be honest, you're afraid. You're afraid to let go of the story that's been keeping you safe. You tell yourself you're not enough, not ready, not capable. But those are just lies you've rehearsed so many times they sound like truth. You've confused familiarity with security. You've mistaken your comfort zone for your identity, and as long as you protect that identity, your life will stay exactly the same. And there's always a moment when you realize that the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. That's the moment everything begins to shift. Because when the desire to grow outweighs the need to stay safe, your power returns. Suddenly, what used to scare you becomes fuel. What used to limit you becomes the very thing that pushes you forward. And the same world that looked hopeless begins to look full of opportunity, not because it changed, but because you did. And every transformation starts with ownership. You can't change what you won't take responsibility for. As long as you keep blaming circumstances, people, or your past, you give away your power. You become a passenger in your own life. But when you own it, when you say, this is on me and I can change it, you reclaim control. That's when you begin to shape your destiny instead of being shaped by it. And you want to know the real difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's hunger. The ones who change have an internal fire that refuses to settle. They turn pain into drive, failure into feedback, fear into energy. They stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? They understand that life will never hand them certainty, so they build it within themselves. And you can read every book, attend every seminar, watch every motivational video, but nothing will shift until you decide to embody what you already know. You don't need more information. You need activation. You need to step into the arena, face the fear, and prove to yourself that you're more powerful than the excuses that have been running your life. Growth isn't found in what's comfortable. It's born in the moments that challenge your limits and force you to rise. And so many people say they want to change, but they're not willing to sacrifice who they've been. They cling to the same habits, the same friends, the same routines that keep them small. They want transformation without disruption, but you can't have both. You can't build a new life while worshiping the comfort of the old one. The version of you that's dreaming of change is not the same version that will achieve it. You must be willing to shed the old skin, to burn the old identity, and to step into the unknown without a guarantee. That's the price of freedom. And every time you take action despite fear, you're teaching your brain that you can trust yourself. That's how confidence is built, not through words, but through movement. You don't wait to feel ready. You act your way into readiness. And with each decision, each risk, each uncomfortable moment, you expand your capacity for growth. You start to see that the limits were never real. They were just walls built by your imagination. And your life isn't changing because you're negotiating with your potential. You're asking for growth without challenge, success without sacrifice, evolution without discomfort. But life doesn't work that way. The universe rewards boldness. It responds to conviction. It bends for those who demand more from themselves than anyone else ever could. When you operate from that level of certainty, you stop waiting for life to change. You become the change itself. And the truth is, every single day you're making a choice. You're either reinforcing the old patterns that keep you trapped, or you're conditioning the habits that create freedom. You're either feeding your fears or fueling your future. It's never about what happens to you, it's about what you decide to do with it. You can't control the storm, but you can control who you become in the middle of it. And you've been waiting for permission, for the perfect moment, for someone to believe in you. But here's the reality. No one is coming. It's you. You are the one you've been waiting for. The moment you stop outsourcing your power and start taking full responsibility for your results, everything changes. Because what? And you commit to transformation, not as a goal, but as a way of life. Your entire world begins to align with that energy. And so the real reason your life isn't changing isn't because it's too hard or too late or too complicated. It's because you haven't fully decided who you're going to be. Once you do, once you lock in with absolute certainty and refuse to accept anything less than the best version of yourself, change stops being a dream and becomes your new reality. And when you finally decide that enough is enough, something inside of you wakes up. It's that part of your spirit that has been whispering for years, you were meant for more than this. That voice never goes away. It just gets buried under distraction, fear, and routine. But when you choose to listen, when you silence the noise and hear that whisper again, you reconnect with the part of yourself that's unstoppable. That's when life starts to open up in ways you never imagined. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to feel alive again, not because life got easier, but because you stopped running from your own potential. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. Change demands honesty. Brutal honesty. You have to be willing to look at your life and admit where you've been lying to yourself. Admit where you've been making excuses, where you've been settling, where you've been blaming others instead of owning your choices. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't transform a life you won't take responsibility for. You can't fix what you keep pretending isn't broken. The moment you face the truth, you strip away the illusion. And in that space of raw honesty, power begins to grow. And you start to realize that your external world is just a reflection of your internal standards. You attract relationships that match your level of self-worth. You experience opportunities that align with your beliefs about what's possible. So if you want something different, you have to raise your internal game. You can't expect abundance with a scarcity mindset. You can't expect love while carrying the wounds of unworthiness. You can't expect success when you're still addicted to your limitations. Everything in your life is waiting for you to decide you're worth more. And you've got to reprogram your mind to expect greatness. Most people wake up each day already defeated in their thoughts. They tell themselves they're tired, that nothing ever changes, that they'll never catch a break, and their brain makes sure that becomes their reality. But when you train your mind to see possibility instead of problems, when you condition yourself to look for growth instead of excuses, life begins to respond differently. You become magnetic. You attract progress because your energy commands it. But it takes discipline. You can't change your life with motivation alone. Motivation fades. Discipline is what builds momentum. Discipline is what carries you through the days when you don't feel like showing up, when no one's watching, when no one claps for you. It's in those quiet, unseen moments that your future is being written. You either reinforce your old story or you create a new one. Every choice counts. Every action adds up. Transformation isn't one big event. It's 1,000 micro decisions stacked on top of each other that eventually change who you are. And you've got to fall in love with progress more than the outcome. Most people never change because they chase results, not identity. They want the reward without the evolution. But real transformation happens when you stop chasing the outcome and start becoming the kind of person who deserves it. When you focus on who you're becoming instead of what you're getting, everything else takes care of itself. And your environment matters too. If you surround yourself with people who complain, who settle, who see life too, through the lens of limitation, that energy will infect your soul. You can't grow in soil that's poisoned by negativity. You've got to put yourself in rooms that challenge you, that stretch you, that remind you of what's possible. Surround yourself with people who expect more from you than you do from yourself, people who won't let you stay small. Because proximity is power. Your environment will either elevate you or suffocate you. Choose wisely. And you have to understand that change is not a single moment of inspiration. It's a lifelong commitment to expansion. It's waking up every day and saying, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not who I used to be either. It's having the courage to keep moving forward even when progress feels invisible. Because real growth happens in silence. You plant seeds in the dark long before you see the results in the light. But if you stay consistent, if you keep showing up, eventually everything you've worked for begins to bloom. And you've got to learn to trust the process. Too many people quit before the miracle happens because they can't handle uncertainty. They mistake discomfort for failure. But discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Every breakthrough in your life will first appear as a breakdown. Every next level will demand a stronger version of you. And if you can learn to lean into that tension instead of running from it, you'll unlock a level of strength you didn't know existed. And change also demands that you let go of your old identity. You can't hold on to the person you used to be and expect to step into a new future. You have to be willing to die to your old self, the one who's afraid, the one who doubts, the one who keeps playing small. You have to bury that version of you so a stronger one can rise. That's not easy because the old you will fight for survival. It will whisper in your ear, reminding you of all the reasons you should stay safe, stay comfortable, stay the same. But every time you push past that voice, every time you take a step into the unknown, you're building a new identity based on courage instead of fear. And you'll notice something incredible when you do this. Life starts to respond differently. The moment you stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them, doors begin to open. The moment you stop wishing for confidence and start acting with conviction, your world expands. The moment you stop waiting for someone to rescue you and realize you are the hero of your own story, everything changes. Because life doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand through your actions and beliefs. And you must also understand that failure isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. Every mistake, every setback, every disappointment is feedback. It's life showing you what needs to be adjusted, refined, or strengthened. But if you see failure as the end, you'll never grow. The ones who change are the ones who fail forward, who learn, who adapt, who refuse to let temporary defeat become permanent identity. You can't reach your potential without falling on your face a few times. Growth requires risk, and risk comes with the possibility of failure. But that's what separates those who dream from those who do. And there will come moments when you'll feel like you're doing everything right and nothing's working. That's when most people give up. But those are the moments that test your belief, because growth doesn't happen when it's easy. It happens when it's inconvenient. You've got to hold the vision even when the results haven't shown up yet. You've got to keep your faith stronger than your fear, because the breakthrough you're waiting for is usually one more disciplined decision away. And you also have to change your relationship with pain. Pain isn't there to punish you. It's there to push you. It's the universe's way of getting your attention. When you start to feel pain, don't numb it. Don't run from it. Don't distract yourself. Listen to it. Pain is feedback that something needs to change. It's not the enemy. It's the messenger. And when you embrace it, when you use it as fuel instead of fear, you become unstoppable. And the truth is, the version of you that you're meant to become is already inside you. It's not something you have to find. It's something you have to release. All the strength, confidence, clarity, and power you need are already within you, buried under years of conditioning and self-doubt. The work isn't about adding more. It's about removing what doesn't serve you anymore. It's about stripping away the layers of fear, shame, and insecurity until what's left is pure potential. And every single day you wake up is another chance to choose differently, to think differently, to act differently, to show up as the person you were designed to be. The question isn't, can you change? You absolutely can. The question is, will you finally decide to? Because your life will only transform when your commitment to growth becomes greater than your attachment to comfort. And when that moment comes, when you stop negotiating with your destiny and start demanding more from yourself, you'll realize that the power to change was never out there. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to claim it. And you've got to understand that the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. Everyone has potential. Everyone has dreams, ideas, and moments of inspiration where they feel unstoppable. But very few people turn that potential into power because most stop when it starts to hurt. They stop when the results don't come fast enough. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. But the ones who change their lives, the ones who rise above the noise, they do one thing differently. They follow through. They do it anyway. They show up when it's hard, when it's messy, when no one believes in them. That's what separates the dreamers from the achievers. And you have to be willing to do the work even when you don't feel like it. Because if your emotions control your consistency, you'll never create lasting change. There will be days when you don't feel inspired, when your mind tells you to rest, when your body says it's tired, but growth doesn't care about how you feel. Growth responds to discipline. You don't train only when it's convenient. You train until it becomes who you are. You rewire your nervous system to show up no matter what. That's how you build momentum that cannot be stopped by temporary feelings. And momentum is a force more powerful than motivation. Once you build it, it carries you. It starts small. One action, one decision, one commitment. But when you stack enough of those together, it becomes unstoppable. It becomes who you are. That's when your habits take over and your life starts to transform without the constant battle between who you want to be and who you've been. But to build that kind of momentum, you have to start. Not next week, not when it's easier. Now, because waiting for the perfect time is just another form of fear dressed up as logic. And every excuse you make keeps you stuck in the same story. You tell yourself you're not ready, that the timing isn't right, that you need more clarity. But clarity doesn't come before action. It comes because of it. You discover who you are by stepping into motion, by failing forward, by adjusting as you go. Life rewards movement, not hesitation. Every time you take a step, you send a signal to your mind that you're serious about growth. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce doubt. So ask yourself, how many times have you talked yourself out of your own breakthrough? How many times have you traded progress for comfort? And the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses is the moment your life begins to shift, because deep down, you already know what you need to do. You've known for a long time, you just haven't fully committed. You've been dipping your toe in the water, hoping for a change without paying the full price. But life doesn't work that way. You can't transform halfway. You've got to burn the bridge behind you and give yourself no way back. You've got to tell yourself, this is it. I'm all in. That's when something inside you ignites, a kind of power that can't be faked, can't be borrowed, can't be stopped. And you've got to start treating your dreams like a mission, not an option. A mission means there's no plan B. It means you're willing to endure discomfort, setbacks, and rejection because your vision is bigger than your pain. It means you stop asking for permission to become who you're meant to be. Too many people play small because they're afraid of judgment. They hide their light to avoid criticism, forgetting that the ones who judge them are usually the ones too afraid to try. You cannot live your life chained to the opinions of others. You'll never please everyone, but you can inspire everyone by living authentically. And then let me tell you, authenticity takes courage. It takes courage to speak your truth when the world wants you to stay quiet. It takes courage to keep going when no one claps for you. It takes courage to trust your vision when it doesn't make sense to anyone else yet. But that's what greatness requires. Every person who has ever changed their life faced moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments when quitting looked easier. But they didn't stop. They kept showing up. They kept believing. And one day, everything they fought for made sense. And you've got to fall in love with the journey, not just the destination. Because the destination is temporary. Once you reach one goal, your mind will create another. That's the beauty of growth. It never ends. But if you only find joy when you arrive, you'll spend your whole life chasing fulfillment and never feeling it. Fulfillment doesn't come from achieving something. It comes from becoming someone. It's the purple-eyed of knowing you gave your best when no one was watching. It's the quiet confidence that you're living with purpose, not just existing. And when you understand this, you stop comparing your journey to others. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's highlight reel. You realize that your path is unique, your timeline is divine, and your story is unfolding exactly as it should. Comparison kills gratitude, and gratitude is the foundation of power. You can't build a life you love while resenting the one you have. Gratitude doesn't mean settling. It means seeing your current situation as the training ground for your next breakthrough. But gratitude must be active. It's not just saying thank you for the good things. It's finding meaning in the struggle. It's looking at the pain and saying, this is shaping me. It's understanding that even the setbacks were setups for strength. When you start to view life through that lens, nothing can stop you. Because when everything becomes fuel, nothing becomes failure. And you also have to master your focus. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you focus on problems, you'll attract more problems. If you focus on possibilities, you'll see opportunities everywhere. Most people keep reliving their past instead of designing their future. They're so focused on what went wrong that they can't see what's possible. You've got to train your mind to look forward, to visualize what you want with so much clarity that it becomes more real than your current reality. That's how change starts, from the inside out. And remember, your emotions are not random. They're signals. They're feedback from your thoughts. If you feel stuck, it's not because life is unfair. It's because your focus has been on what's missing instead of what's possible. Shift your focus and your emotions will follow. Shift your emotions and your action. Ons will align. Shift your actions and your results will transform. It's all connected. And you have to protect your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Don't feed it with negativity, gossip, or fear. Feed it with truth, with purpose, with vision. Read things that stretch you. Listen to voices that challenge you. Spend time with people who lift you higher. Your mind is a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. So stop watering weeds and start cultivating strength. And every single day ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become today? Because the answer to that question determines everything. It determines how you speak, how you act, how you treat others, and most importantly, how you treat yourself. You can't hate yourself into change. You can't shame yourself into progress. Transformation happens when you start seeing yourself not as broken, but as becoming. When you start believing that every challenge is molding you into something greater. And there will be days when you'll doubt yourself. There will be nights when you'll wonder if all this effort is worth it. But those are the exact moments you're being tested. Not by life, but by your own potential. Life wants to know if you're serious, if you're willing to keep going when the applause stops, if you're willing to stay consistent when no one notices, if you're willing to trust the process even when the outcome isn't visible. And if you do, if you stay faithful to your purpose, life will eventually bow to your persistence. And you can't fake consistency. You can't cheat the process. You can't skip the struggle. You earn your transformation through repetition, through resilience, through relentless commitment to growth. And every time you think you can't go further, you can, because you've survived worse. Because your capacity is greater than your mind wants you to believe. The limits you feel are not real. They're just walls built by your fear. Push through them and you'll see how powerful you truly are. And the real secret to change isn't in doing something once, it's in becoming someone new. Because when your identity changes, your life automatically follows. You don't have to force it. It becomes effortless. You start to act, think, and choose in alignment with your higher self. And in that state, everything you once thought was impossible becomes inevitable. And you have to realize that change isn't just about achieving more. It's about awakening to who you've always been, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the conditioning. Somewhere along the way, life taught you to shrink. You were told to be realistic, to play it safe, to stop dreaming so big. And slowly, piece by piece, you started dimming your own light to fit into a world that rewards comfort. But your soul was never built for average. That's why you feel that pull inside you, that restlessness that won't go away. It's not dissatisfaction. It's your potential calling you home. And every time you ignore that voice, you betray yourself a little more. You start settling for what's familiar instead of reaching for what's possible. You convince yourself that where you are is good enough, but deep down you know it's not fulfillment. It's resignation. You can't keep pretending that the numbness is peace. It's not. It's the quiet pain of unexpressed greatness. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes. Because life will always find a way to wake you up, sometimes gently, sometimes through chaos. And the pain you feel right now isn't punishment, it's guidance. It's life shaking you, saying, wake up, you were made for more than this. That pain is a messenger reminding you that you're living below your potential. And the only way to stop feeling that emptiness is to rise, to stretch beyond what's easy, to demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could. You can't avoid discomfort. You can only choose which kind, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One shapes you, the other destroys you. And the reason most people never change is because they've built an identity around their limitations. They say things like, that's just how I am, or I've always been this way, but those are just stories. Stories created to protect your ego from the fear of failure. You're not your story. You're not your past. You're not your mistakes. You're whatever you decide to become right now. Every day is a blank page. The question is, are you going to keep rewriting the same chapter, or will you finally start a new one? And change doesn't happen when you feel ready. It happens when you decide to move despite not feeling ready. That's the difference between the few who rise and the many who stay the same. The ones who rise don't wait for certainty. They create it through action. They step forward when their knees are shaking, when their voice trembles, when they have no guarantee it'll work. Because deep down, they know that the act of moving forward creates momentum, and momentum builds clarity. And you don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step. Life rewards those who trust enough to act without knowing every detail. The universe doesn't give you the map. It gives you direction through movement. Every time you take a step, the next one reveals itself. But most people never take that first step because they're addicted to control. They want guarantees. They want certainty. They want to know they'll win before they even begin. But that's not how transformation works. You have to leap before you see the net. You have to believe before you see. And you can't create a new life while clinging to old habits, and you can't become a new person while thinking the same thoughts. The mind that built your old reality cannot build your new one. You've got to upgrade your thinking. That means questioning your beliefs, challenging your assumptions, and letting go of what no longer serves you. It means realizing that your limitations are not truths. They're patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. And everything you do begins with a thought. Change the thought, and you change the behavior. Change the behavior, and you change the results. It's that simple, but not that easy, because it requires awareness. It requires catching yourself in the act of self-sabotage and saying, no, not this time. It's about interrupting your old story every time it tries to pull you back into the past. The more you do that, the weaker the old pattern becomes. Eventually, it loses its power, and you begin to live from a higher level of consciousness. And you also have to stop confusing movement with progress. Being busy is not the same as growing. Many people fill their days with activity just to avoid facing themselves. They scroll, they distract, they talk about change instead of becoming it. True growth is quiet. It's not always visible. It's found in those moments when you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose faith over fear, when you choose to act instead of react. Real change is an inside job, and until you master your inner world, nothing external will truly shift. And growth also demands that you forgive yourself. You can't move forward while carrying the weight of past mistakes. You've got to stop punishing yourself for who you were when you didn't know better. Every failure was a teacher. Every setback was a lesson in disguise. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the chains of guilt so you can step into the future without dragging the past behind you. The longer you hold on to shame, the heavier your spirit becomes. Let it go. You've paid your dues. Now it's time to rise. And then while you're growing, remember this: not everyone will understand your transformation. Some people will question you. Some will criticize you. Some will even try to pull you back to the version of you they're comfortable with. But you can't live your life seeking validation from people who are afraid of your evolution. You're not here to fit in. You're here to expand. You're here to break the mold, to defy the odds, to become the proof that transformation is possible. Don't expect everyone to clap when you start changing. Some people will be threatened by your growth because it reminds them of what they're not doing. That's not your problem. Keep moving. And there will be moments when you'll feel lonely on this journey. That's normal. Growth often requires isolation. You can't hear your own voice when you're surrounded by noise. Sometimes life will strip away the people, habits, and comforts that no longer align with who you're becoming. It's not punishment, it's pruning. The universe is removing what can't grow with you. So when you lose something or someone along the way, don't resist it. Trust that what's being removed is making space for something greater. And you've also got to master your energy. Your energy is your currency. It's more valuable than money, more powerful than talent, more impactful than anything else. Where you direct it determines what grows in your life. If you spend it on worry, fear, and doubt, you'll keep creating the same problems. But if you channel it into growth, gratitude, and purpose, you'll start attracting the opportunities and people that match that frequency. Protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. And remember, progress isn't always obvious. Sometimes growth looks like standing still. Sometimes it looks like letting go. Sometimes it looks like breaking down so you can rebuild stronger. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. The seed doesn't look like the tree, but the potential is already there. Your progress is the same way. It's unfolding beneath the surface in moments of patience, in moments of persistence, in moments of faith when nothing seems to be working. And don't rush the process. The same pressure that breaks some people builds others. Let it build you, let it refine you, let it teach you that strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising every time you do. Life will test your endurance, your faith, your resilience. It will push you to the edge just to show you can fly. The question is, will you jump or will you cling to the ledge of what's familiar? And every day you wake up, you have a choice to repeat or to evolve, to stay asleep in the comfort of your patterns or to awaken to your power, to settle for what is or to fight for what could be. The world won't change until you do. The results won't shift until you do. Your entire reality bends to the strength of your decisions. And the moment you stop waiting for the perfect time, the moment you decide to create it, your whole life begins to transform in ways that once seemed impossible